Welcome to my kitchen. We are going to dye some yarn, and I'm very excited about it. The next project that I'll probably start working on is my son's. He has two preschool teachers, and I want to do appreciation gifts for them, teacher appreciation gifts, and I offered to make either a Sophie shawl or fingerless mitts, and one wanted a Sophie shawl in gray, and the other one wanted fingerless mitts in pretty much any color. So I have this beautiful gray speckled yarn, fingering weight yarn. It is Heathered Hand Makes, and it is 50% superwash merino and 50% cotton. And I haven't known what to do with it. I've had it for about, I think I got it 2 Christmases ago from my sister-in-law, and it is beautiful. It is so stunning, but I just haven't known what to do with it. But when she said she wanted gray, I immediately thought of this, and to do the Sophie scarf, the other one that I've knitted, I held 2 fingering weight skeins together to make that size, and I really like it, and so I was thinking of doing the same for her. So I have this one that's 50% superwash merino, 50% Pima cotton, and I'm thinking about dyeing. So my dye project for February would be to dye a skein for myself, a gray skein to hold with this. I'm going to dye 75-25, so 75 superwash merino and 25% merino. I'm sorry, nylon. But I think they'll go well together. I mean, that's like a common thing, mixing fibers, especially like cotton and wool. So, but yes, I'm very, oops, I got snagged on my watch. I'm very excited about it. I don't have too much time right now. If my son stays sleeping during his nap, which hopefully he does, I have about 30 minutes. I have charcoal that I'm going to be using. Can't really tell what it looks like from the pot. Last time I dyed, if you were here, it was a adventure, colorful adventure. So this time I think I want to try heating up the yarn after the color goes in. So we've got to get a move on. You see that? That wasn't blue. That was gray. Now just have to wait until it comes up to a simmer, and then hopefully that happens within the next 10 minutes, and then I'll be able to let it cool down while I go get my son. But that's exciting. I think it's gonna complement this so well, hopefully. Exciting. And it's not blue. I cleaned the pot well enough. It's not blue. So no matter what it comes out like, we're already off to a great start. have a very exciting package. We have been waiting for a lamp for that corner. Let me pivot you. For that corner for so long. I finally decided one. It's hard to access that corner. And like you have to kind of crawl over the couch. And so I wanted one with a pull chain. I finally found one that I liked from Amazon. And it was not, it got delayed and then it got canceled. So I had to find another one. But this new one I found actually got here today and came with a light bulb, which is so exciting. And it came with a remote, which is like even better because in this room we have our overhead fan with really bright lights, and then we have 2 lamps, and I want one more for the corner. And so it is kind of annoying if we don't want the overhead light, which is super bright, to have to go around and like manually turn off all the lamps. So I like the idea of having a remote connected to one of the other lamps, so you only have to walk for 2 places. Just much more convenient. So should I set the lamp up now, or should I show you my cardigan? Let's do the cardigan. Da-da-da! It's not done, but both sleeves are done now. Let me find the other one. There it is. And then I finished the button band. It was double thick, is that right? Yes, it was folded over. So it was so many rows. But it's folded over. I would not say this is an beginner-friendly pattern. So with both sleeves, when I got to the end, I was confused because it said to end on the contrasting stripe and then switch to your main color, switch to your smaller needles, do a rapid round of decreasing, and then start. And I just thought that would look weird, like having the contrast color then like rapidly decrease. And so I could have done just like one straight round without decreasing and then do the rapid decreasing with my like main color. But when I looked at her pictures, she had, her last color was gray. It wasn't the contrast color. And maybe that's just how she knit hers. But I thought it was weird. Like most designers' patterns are for what you're wearing. And so I just had to think about it. And I like read the pattern so many times when I did the first sleeve. And I read it to my husband and I was like, am I missing anything? Because then I showed him the pictures and he said no, but it didn't make sense either. And so when I got to the second sleeve, same thing. I ran into the same error. It was not just a fluke. So I didn't necessarily follow her instructions, I guess. I guess I did one row or one color shorter, but I matched what she had on her pictures because I liked it. I liked what her pictures had. And then with the double knit, sorry, not double knit, folded over neckband, it was also, she doesn't tell you an exact stitch count that you need to pick up. She just said, you know, pick up the stitches from this direction to that direction. And then if you have normal tension, I recommend picking up 1 stitch per row basically, or 1 stitch per, or 2 stitches per 3 rows. If you have tight tension, I recommend 1 stitch per row. And if you have loose tension, I recommend 1 stitch per every other row. And so and she said in the pattern, so there's like each person will have a different number. And so as someone who has done many neckbands, I just did my sleeve, right? And I just talked about how like tight my sleeve is. I thought, okay, I have a tight tension. And so I followed her tips for if you have a tight tension. But I'm hoping that's right, because like you can't really see it. Like you can't, like the double knit button band is going to go along the side of it. So you don't really know like how big it is. So I'm just kind of putting faith in the pattern here. But it went by super quickly. I was not excited about so many rows of twisted rib, but it looks beautiful. And it went really quickly. So yeah, now my last thing is the button band. I'm pumped. I'm so excited. I've never done double knit, but I'm excited to start. My yarn came out good. Came out a gray yarn and still a little bit of tonal variation, so that's exciting. But I'll show it to you when it dries, probably tomorrow or the next day. But all right, I'm gonna look up how to do a double knit button band. I've never flown by the seat of my pants so much with learning some new knitting technique. I have no idea what I'm doing. I really don't. I really don't know what I'm doing. If anyone has ever done a double knit button band and has like a good video tutorial, let me know. The video tutorial that she linked it just wasn't that helpful. Maybe I should look up a petite knit video tutorial. She didn't say how many stitches to pick up. I've like heard in other videos, like podcasts that I've watched, like some people say they don't pick up every stitch. Some people find it difficult to match gauge. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. And even like picking up the ribbing, the hem ribbing, I just picked up half a stitch. I don't know if that was right. Like I picked up the edge stitch, half of it, because if I didn't pick up half, then it just would have cut in like way over here. So it would have like gone from here and then had a jump to go in here. So I just picked up half the edge stitch to make it match a little bit better. And then kind of the same thing over here. Like I picked up both sides of the double folded collar. Have no idea if I was supposed to do that, but if I only picked out the outside, then it was open here and it looked weird, and so I picked up both sides. And then if you can see, it kind of goes in like that. I tried to do it very gradually, but is that right? Okay, yeah, it goes. So it goes like this, kind of tapers out. I guess that's just with like my collar, maybe not going all the way to the edge, but what I love about this is that it's applied. So if I start this and it looks terrible, I can take it off. And like I'm not working with any live stitches. I mean, I am, but not like on the cardigan, so I can take off the button band and just like retry it. So it feels low pressure for like such a new technique. That feels good. But yes, I have zippo idea what I'm doing. So if you have a resource for double knitting that you have found helpful, send it my way. Maybe I'll have figured it out by the time you watch this. Let's be hopeful. my left front side of the button band is. So far, I just have this much left. Last time I updated you, I was telling you that I was really confused. I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't know what I'm doing, to be fair. Like, I have no idea if this is going to turn out good. But I did find someone else's YouTube video and like tutorial on how to do a double knit button band, and I really liked her explanation. It was handmade by Florence. And so I did go back and pick up the entire like edge stitch. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah. So that's what I did at first, and then I was like, well, that looks weird with like a big ol' purl gap, and it like the fabric kind of goes in. And so then I went and split the last knit stitch to like have a little bit of gap there, but then I watched what she did, and she picked up the entire edge stitch, and so I did that too. I went back and did that. But yeah, it's like a little bit curly, like a little bit kind of wavy. You see how it like goes in like that? But I'm just hoping that blocking does a miracle. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what to like look for to see if it's like off tension or what. It's very thin button band too. I'm a little surprised at how thin it is. Yeah, it's probably like maybe half an inch. I'm just surprised at how thin it is. But that's okay. But it's going pretty fast. It reminds me a lot of I-cord. Although what's nice about it is you don't have to slip the stitches back. You just work the stitches back. So I can see why people say it takes a while, because it does. But I like the rhythm a lot more than like working an applied I-cord. And it's also just absolutely fascinating that I am working two sides of fabric at the same time. Like, how is that possible? I went to the library today and I picked up some travel books for like research for family vacations, but then I also picked up a double knitting, like, what was it? A double knitting, mastering color work knitting, I think it was. And it had like a double knitting section in there. And the two color double knitting seemed much more difficult than the little double knit button band. But it is still fascinating that I'm knitting two sides of fabric at the same time. I just love knitting so much. It's definitely made me be like, ooh, I wonder if like a double knitting, like an entire double knitting project could be in my future. Because it's so much fun. I'm also listening to a new audiobook because the last one I told you about, I was about 50% through, and then stuff happened that I didn't like, and so I stopped. And the new one, Eileen recommended. So thank you, Eileen, so far. I'm not too far into it, but I'm having a lot of fun listening to it. So that was going to keep me company as I knit today. I have about an hour, so we'll see how much I can get done. I finished. However, oh, you can't see that. I feel like it's too long. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, isn't that too long? It's like a stitch too long. I don't know. I feel like it's a stitch too long. Maybe I can unpick it. Let's try. I did Kitchener stitch because I read that's like a really pretty and seamless way to close it, and I really like it. Is that better? I don't know if that's better. Worst comes to worst, I can just re-Kitchener it, right? I can just take it out again if it's still too long. My gut says go one more. Let's listen to my gut. Ooh, I think I did it.
Finished it?
Yeah, I think it matches better now.
Can you put waste towel?
There we go. That's pretty. Yay. I have a very exciting update for you. Look at the yarn. It's a little darker than what I was envisioning in some spots, but that's okay. I really like how it's tonal, and I think it's going to complement the color that I was trying to match like really well. I think it'll be like a nice marled effect, and with the speckles that are like in this yarn, I think having the darker sections will look really nice when it's marled together. It's good to know that if my technique this time was to use or put the acid and the yarn, or put the acid and the color in first into the pot, and then put the yarn in and then heat it up. It's good to know that that still makes like a very kind of variegated tonal. Not quite variegated, but definitely not as solid as like a tonal is. And I feel like it's very similar to when I just put the color, the acid, and the heat like all at one time. So, and granted, it wasn't like cold when I put the water in it. I used hot water to fill up the pan so it wouldn't take forever to heat up. So there was still like some heat, but it definitely wasn't like close to simmering. But yeah, it's really pretty. I'll try and show you the inside. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I think it's gonna look great, and together, like marled, I think it's gonna make a very pretty Sophie shop. So I'm very pumped. I also have big updates on my cardigan. Hold on, let me maybe wind this up real quick. Looks so good. Okay, on my cardigan. The pattern is just not beginner friendly. There's not enough detail. I feel like I know enough about like picking up stitches that I was able to spot the error in the mistake, or the error in the pattern, and be like, this doesn't make sense. And I was right. If I would have done it the way the pattern said, she basically says to repeat the same on the right side as you did on the left side, picking up from top to bottom. But if you would have picked up from top to bottom, your like seam would have been on the outside, because you would have had to put the wrong side facing up. So I read it, and I was like, no, I think this is just wrong. I think I have to pick up from bottom to top. And then even in her picture in the pattern did show arrows, like for the left side you pick up from top to bottom, and then the picture showed a yellow arrow going on the opposite direction. So there was just some things that I'm grateful that I had experience with, like knitting cardigans and picking up stitches, and otherwise I think I would have been confused. And she also just doesn't give great directions on how to like make your button band. She sends you to her videos, and those are helpful. I'll say those are helpful, but the video that she sends you to is not for this cardigan, so it's like a different number of stitches. and some of the instructions, like the tips that she like writes in the video, don't apply to this. And then she also just kind of says, you know, every 6 to 7 centimeters do a buttonhole, and you'll have about 7 to 8 depending on the size. So there's just, even that for me was like, I would much rather have a pattern say every 5 centimeters add a buttonhole for extra small, small, and medium, or a size 1, 2, like 1 through 4, you're going to have 7 buttonholes, and up above that you're going to have 8. So that was definitely a little, I had to do mental math because I wanted to know how to space out my buttonholes, because I didn't want to like do, okay, I'll do every 7 centimeters, and then my last buttonhole was like a 5 centimeters, or vice versa, do every 6, and then my last buttonhole was closer, farther away. So I just had to like do my own kind of mental math to figure out how to space them, and so far I think it's going okay. I think I have 2 more buttonholes left. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 2 more left. And right there, it's like a very clean looking buttonhole. They're very satisfying to do, honestly. They leave lots of tails to weave in. Let me show you my yarns. Yeah, they leave lots of tails to weave in on the buttonholes, but it's very satisfying. So yeah, a little disappointed with just like how much in the pattern is left to your own devices, but like I think with someone with more experience than me would probably, I would just say it's not lacking in information, except the one error in the picking up. But again, she does give like a picture that shows the correct way. The written directions are incorrect, but the picture is correct. But yeah, there's not a ton, it's not lacking information, it's just not as descriptive as I might be used to. And so that's why I say it's like not beginner friendly. But I'm so close. I'm wondering if I can finish it today and then like have it blocked over the weekend. I definitely don't think I'm gonna weave in any ends because I want to make sure that it like looks good before I weave in any ends, so I can go back and fix anything if it looks funky. But I only have about maybe an hour to go. I was expecting to have a good chunk this morning, but as you saw in the vlog, we got some, as I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yes, as you saw in the vlog, we got snow this morning. So unexpected. Last week we had a an actual tornado in town. And this week we had snow. So we had a 2-hour delay. So I did not get my first nap knitting session that I normally do on Thursday. So I'm hopeful I can finish it today. If I do, I'll definitely show you. We'll see though. But enough chatter, let's get to working. Finished. Yes, but remember I'm talking to the camera. So hard to see because the button band is so small, it like curves in. And it's like it's definitely a little, like the tension is a little looser. But I'm hoping that I can fix that during blocking. Never done a button band like that. So my plan, I had to rip back my last 2 buttonholes, which was sad because I needed to lengthen them a little bit. I think that you won't be able to tell. So I did like, for the first 5, I did 6.5 centimeters, but for the last 2, I did like a little teeny bit over 7 centimeters. I'm hoping that you can't tell, but let me bring you over here. Here we go. So yeah, it's pretty snug on me. But I think I'm gonna block it out and I think it will look really nice. So tiny bit of room, nothing too much, and then I'm really hoping I can get these sleeves to block out. We'll see, but it looks so good. So yeah, so if you can see this, these two buttonholes, is that right? Yeah, are like a tiny bit further apart than the ones down here. So we'll see if you can notice that when it's blocked. I might try and like stretch, like kind of squish these, but stretch these. But it looks so good. My plan is to block it, and then if it turns out good, weave in the ends, and then hopefully show you next week. I might be fixing something if it doesn't turn out good, but hopefully I'll be showing you the finished project. But thanks for being here this time. Hope you have a good weekend, and we'll chat hopefully next week, and hopefully I'll be wearing the finished sweater. I'll see you next time. Bye.